Hello, John. Welcome back
Hey,
to another Eat Sleep Code, the official Telerik podcast. I'm your host, Ed Charbeneau, and with me is my co-host, John Bristowe. John, how did the holidays treat you? You having a good New Year?
it was good. It was good. What's going on, everyone? I had a good break. I did some programming in my spare time, hung out with the kids and the wife. Yeah, I had a good
Good
time.
deal.
And yeah, I hope everyone had a good holiday break. It's always nice to get away from the computer every now and then.
Let's do some news articles first, because John, you've got some
Hmm.
good stuff lined up here.
Yeah,
Let's get this screen share going. And the first one I've never heard of, Astro. Is this a web
yeah.
framework or something?
It is. It's a way of building typically static websites, etc. When you're looking at a variety of solutions out there, there's any number of them, and
Mm-hmm.
this one is one that I think is catching on in a big way. Astro is really touted for having small um, builds, basically, or small packages that ultimately get built. Obviously, Next.js is the king for a lot of this stuff, but Astro is quickly becoming a hot contender, and they launched 1.0 back in August. I actually didn't catch it. I spent a lot of time mostly in the back end side of things. I haven't spent a lot of time on the front end, even though I've done years and years of front end stuff. But Astro is definitely something that I think is worth mentioning and worth checking out. So lots of great features in it. Definitely worth checking out in terms of what's available there. And yeah, if you're looking for something that provides a really lean and mean sort of solution for building out websites, this would be a great solution
Is
to
this for
investigate.
like mostly static content like blogs, or is it like interactive web apps?
You can certainly build interactive web apps for sure. So it's basically a framework for building, websites, etc. They typically talk about like content based, meaning static, typically. But really, it's Astro is about speed and performance and
Mhm.
small build sizes, etc. So if you're looking for a solution that you can just basically push anywhere, is UI agnostic. You can use it with React. You can use it with Svelte. You can use it with whatever UI framework you like. If you want everything kind of componentized and you want it sort of driven through a server first API design, this is a way in which you can get started.
Nice. Yeah, a lot of the
Yeah.
examples here look like marketing sites, and I think it's good. Like we don't need these giant payloads of
No.
like React and Angular and Blazor for marketing sites. That's not what those frameworks are geared for. And a lot of people just like every hammer is a nail. It's like, should I use? A lot of people have asked me this, and I think I have a blog post or a GitHub rant or something somewhere where I've been asked this so many times. I'm just like, I'm going to document this. And people are asking, should I write my blog in Blazor? I'm like, no, no. Just
Yeah.
it's a very
You don't need all of
interactive
that. Yeah.
forms
Yeah. Yeah.
over data, line of business application framework, and you want to use it for a blog. It's not the right
I
tool,
know. It's like
folks.
people who say
Don't do it.
I know people who say like I'm gonna have planet scale with Kubernetes. And I'm like, you host a sandwich making website. Like why why do you need all of that performance? Or the same thing, like why do you need all the frameworks to come along for the ride? So use something lean and mean.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to remember where I stashed that now. I believe it's on my GitHub somewhere. It's like a
Okay.
frequently asked question thing I just posted so I could link people to it when they start asking the question. I need to find that because I've got a conference coming up. I know that question will probably come up again.
Okay.
But I digress. What is, let's see, a new Terraform plugin framework is now generally available. This is
Yeah.
called, this is by HashiCorp.
So Terraform, if okay, I'll give the Terraform is the solution for provisioning typically cloud infrastructure using a description language called HCL. It is super duper popular. In fact, it's one of the fastest growing languages, quote unquote, on GitHub. It allows you to describe state and then provision services, servers, etc., very quickly and easily. When you target Terraform, you do so through a series of what are called providers or plugins, and these providers provide solution-specific uh, state, the best way to describe it is like providers are there to provide that implementation for Terraform for the solution you're building. So for example, let's say there was a Terraform provider for Sitefinity, for example, just putting it out there. In a descriptions file, I would say, I want my Sitefinity server to look like this. I want these configurations, yada, yada, yada. That's called a provider. So provider is platform-specific code for platform-specific solutions that run in Terraform. Okay, so historically, Terraform has had this framework called it's like an SDK that you would use to build out these plugins or providers. Recently, they just announced the 1.0 version of this new plugin framework for Terraform. So it's all based on Go. The old version's based on Go. Terraform's based on Go. It's all Go, basically. But the nice thing about the plugin framework is I took a look. This is one of the things I did over the holiday season. I actually spent some time looking at this thing and checking it out. And I like it a lot. So some of the things that I observed about the plugin framework include the fact that there's a lot of patterns that you'll implement when you're building a provider for Terraform. And what the plugin framework does is it makes those things crisp, and it solidifies them in the framework itself, so that you don't have to go through, all of these patterns in code, a lot of boilerplate code. It makes them quantifiable things in the new plugin framework. Ultimately, what it boils down to is your plugins will become a lot more robust and a lot less error prone, and you'll have a much better development experience going forward with this new framework. So I'm excited. I think you're going to start to see a lot of people converting over. The one thing that HashiCorp did, which was awesome, was they actually provided a backwards compatibility story. So the typical, if you introduce something like this, it's a disruptive thing to everyone. And everyone's like, I don't want to rewrite my provider. So the good news here is you can actually co-host new plugin framework stuff with old SDK stuff. You can actually co-host these two things. So of those 27 public providers, like 99% of them are built on the SDK v2 framework that HashiCorp provides for Terraform. But slowly there will be a transition over. And the nice thing is, and I really credit HashiCorp for doing this, is that they actually took the time to make sure that you could co-run these frameworks inside the same provider. So the same provider you maintain, like let's say that Sitefinity provider example I mentioned earlier, let's say that's built in SDK v2, I can actually slowly migrate over to this new plugin framework if I so choose. And I can do it by piece. So really good migration story here.
Nice. Very nice. Go and crypto.
Yes.
So some new cryptography coming to Go, it looks like.
Yeah, so Go is currently 1.19.4. That's the latest stable release. And the way that the Go team does its implementations is they do a release candidate. This is basically a summary of what's coming for the crypto libraries in Go 1.20. So 1.20, it's got a bunch of stuff around the compilers. It's got a bunch of library updates, etc. The big new aspect to Go 120 is better support around crypto. There's a bunch of, I'm not going to get into all this because it's super esoteric around crypto, but if you want to check out this blog post, you can. It goes into deep detail around how Go 120 exposes these types for a variety of algorithms specific to crypto. There's a lot of excitement around this. There's a bunch of other things as well that, relate to crypto, mathematics, etc. These things are important. So if you wanted to check this out, go ahead and do so. It's pretty exciting to see what's coming.
Yeah, crypto has a lot of uses. I've talked about some of the things that I've done in the past with it. But I always like to just write my own. That's how I roll. I'm kidding, of course. I'm kidding, of course. Back in the day, I know I've told this story before, so I'll keep it short. I reused the view state crypto for web forms for some stuff I was doing at work because
it wasn't really crypto, but whatever. View state was never really,
It was encoded. There was some hashing algorithms and things around it that helped you secure things and keep it from being, kind of hacked out in the open. So it was nice to have those things when you need them. Never know when those might crop up from a customer that's asking for some feature that needs to be kind of in the wild, but have some security wrapped around it.
Nice.
OpenAI Automation Showcase.
Right. So there's been a lot of momentum around OpenAI, specifically vis-a-vis ChatGPT. So OpenAI is the group that built a whole bunch of language models, including GPT-3, and ChatGPT is the latest thing that's just taken the internet by storm.
Mm-hmm.
OpenAI provides an ability for you to leverage, for example, services. So this is a solution called Rose. Rose.com. It's a website. It's actually, you can think of it as like a really cool Notion-esque view of Google Spreadsheets. It provides a whole bunch of stuff that, like, if you've always been frustrated, like Google Spreadsheets is kind of like the Linux of spreadsheets. Like it's like you can do anything you want, but it's a little rough at times, and you got to download.
Yeah, the good old Open Office.
Yeah. So there's a little bit of that, So whereas Rose is like a nice, it's very Notion-y. It's like it's a beautiful experience. They've got first-class support for reports, et cetera, whatever. What I found interesting about this is that this is an example of how you can automate, you can utilize generative AI to automate a bunch of things that you do relative to your Rose spreadsheets. So if you want to say things like, do a lookup for me that will, provide this implementation, or, go ahead and sort these things accordingly based on sort of questions that you can ask. So some examples of things that you might do relative to this are like, get, post, those two HB verbs, you can do those. Ask a question of OpenAI. These are things that you can these are compute-like functions that you can add now to your spreadsheets hosted in Rose. And so you have the ability of integrating directly with external APIs for collaboration. This has always been a hard. I've done this with Google Sheets. Google has this notion of apps. Google is a hosted integration. Google Sheets, Google Docs, etc. They're a hosted solution. They're a SaaS product. And when you use them and you want to call out to external services, it's hard. You have to use a thing called Google Apps. You have to use Google Script, etc. And it's not a nice experience. Whereas Rose provides a really a greatly simplified version of this. And you can think of Rose as kind of like Google Sheets, but like way better when it comes to like widgets and interactive tables and reports. And so that's why I call it's kind of Notion-y. It's kind of like Notion. So the nice thing about this is they're demonstrating some of those capabilities with integration in OpenAI, which I thought was super cool. Like this is something that, being able to integrate generative AI within your spreadsheets is going to be a huge win for us when doing data analysis.
Definitely. Yeah, they've got like a sentiment analysis example here. I like the idea. Very cool. I kind of laughed when you started talking about this because we had a OpenAI incident over the holiday. So the kids were wrapping up their schoolwork for the end of the semester right before the holidays kicked in, and my daughter says, "Dad, I need help with this book report. We have to read." What the heck was it? Shoot, I know the story. I can't think of the name of it.
Yeah.
The one with all the kids that are trapped on the island.
The pigs one.
I know you're doing the same.
Lord of the Flies.
Lord of the Flies. You're doing the same thing I was doing in my head.
Yeah.
Lord of the Flies. I was thinking of the pig too. I couldn't remember the name of the thing after that. So she's like, I don't even know like how to phrase this. They're asking for like, how did this character develop over the course of the story? Right. And I was like, this sounds like a job for OpenAI. And she's like, what's that? And I was just like,
let me blow up your brain. Yeah, exactly.
And she's like, this thing's going to be able to answer that. And I'm like, it can not only answer it, but it could put it in the context of like a Seinfeld or Simpsons episode. And she's like, why would you want to do that? I'm like, I don't know, but it does it and it's cool. So we pretty much cheated our homework. And
that's fine.
I was like, I don't know if I should be showing you this,
okay. But there's tools that are coming that are detecting whether or not people are writing or generating these things using tools like ChatGPT. So there's solutions that are coming out from folks who are saying this is a detector algorithm to see whether or not this has been auto-generated.
Yeah. And I wonder, I was like, just because it says this is the answer also doesn't mean it's the answer. Like, this is its best guess. Like, it's very confident that this is the answer. It could be completely wrong. So yeah, we had some fun with it. It was a good learning experience for her, I think. Though it's like, look at what computers are capable of
Yeah.
versus what work you're being assigned. And with with all of that, we need another Vim editor. Like we need another Vim editor.
I need a hole in the head. I know. This is an example of running Vim in line with WebAssembly. I thought this was kind of neat. So we've talked a great deal about WebAssembly and the capabilities and the fact that it's a new technology and it's exciting, etc. And I just wanted to kind of throw this out there. Like, this is VimOnlineEditor.com. You can check it out if you feel so inclined. So
yeah, I can't find the link off the top of my head, but over the holidays I did see somebody did the same thing with Blazor. They wrote an IDE using Blazor that you could load in the browser. It was pretty neat.
nice.
I'm familiar with gRPC, John. I don't
Yep.
know about tRPC. I mean, I think the G was for Google. What does the T stand for in the context here?
It's oriented towards TypeScript. So tRPC
Okay.
is basically it's oriented towards folks who are doing full stack development, specifically full stack development around TypeScript. The nice thing about so you might ask a question like, why do we need something like tRPC? Well, tRPC is basically a way in which you can actually get super type safe, schema validated API calls, or type safe API calls from front to back and back to front, basically. So the way that this works is a lot of this is built around a framework called Zod, which I'll talk about a little bit later. But what tRPC does is it gives you full fidelity, essentially. So typically when you do a full stack implementation, you're building front end and back end, you're sharing types, you're sharing descriptions of those types, and you want to make sure that there's fidelity across the wire, that things don't blow up on the back end, things don't blow up on the front end, etc. That you have a nice experience, that you're going to leverage things like mono repos to do development, etc., etc. So the nice thing about this is that with tRPC, you get a really nice experience when building these things out. A lot of this leans heavily on Zod, which is a validation framework for TypeScript, which I'll show you next. But if you're doing full stack development today, and you're interested in kind of like you're doing it around TypeScript, and you want to have something where it's super simple and super easy to not only describe endpoints and consume them, but also get it so that it's almost turnkey and generative using React, this is a framework to help you. And this is something that I think is really proving itself quite useful for folks who are doing full stack development.
And I'm gonna go correct myself here because chat didn't do it. I was waiting for it, but gRPC does not stand for Google. It stands for General Purpose Remote Procedure Call.
Yeah,
but it is developed by Google, so I always forget like what the G stands for and just assume.
Yeah, it's typically oriented towards like protocol buffers, if I remember correctly, et cetera, et cetera. So
yeah, they try to make it platform agnostic with their protocol buffer stuff, and then you can translate those protocols into like C#, for example, and they work pretty good. The tool that you just showed uses TypeScript on both ends of the wire, which is nice. So you don't have to have that context switching that you do with some stuff. But the tooling around gRPC generally eliminates that. But the fact that you don't need all that tooling is pretty neat with this tRPC.
Yeah, and it does a lot of generative stuff, and it's pretty slick.
So Zod, which sounds like a character from
Superman.
I was thinking more on the lines of Futurama.
Oh, okay.
I feel like there's a Futurama character, but anyway, what is Zod?
So Zod is a validation framework or library. Basically, it gives you static type inference of your types in TypeScript, And the reason why, you might ask, like, so what? What's the power here? It can infer types. It's super small. It's zero dependency. It works everywhere. But the nice thing about that is that it will infer types that you use day in, day out across your TypeScript applications. It's super powerful, and it also allows you to do checking before conversion. So validation frameworks and schema validation frameworks in particular can be a bit brittle, because if something breaks, like typically they're written with the notion of everything's optional and then you mark as required, whereas it's the opposite in this framework. Everything's required, and then later on you can delegate as optional. If you scroll down, you can see some of the examples that they mention. If you go past the sponsors, et cetera, on this page, they talk a little bit about some examples of what this actually looks like. So down at the bottom, they give some practical examples around how you do validation across things like strings, objects, things like that. So you install this thing, you enforce strict mode. So when you look at basic usage, so you import Z from Zod, you then declare a schema. So you say, I have a type here that it's of type string, and then you can do a parse or a safe parse. So the idea here is that you can check to see whether or not these things are actually valid. Now, where it gets really powerful, if you keep scrolling down, you can do checking on object schemas. So this is the next example where, sorry, just a little bit up. If you have, up, not down. There you go, perfect. Creating an object schema. So here I create a user, I type user, I have it declared as type object, and then I say I have a property called username, which is of type string. Then what you can do is you can say, parse this to see if it's valid. It will say then, but the real power is that extract the infer type. That infer method is super powerful, because what this allows you to do is infer types within TypeScript, and it does so through validation. So there's all kinds of primitives, there's all kinds of logic to do, but basically this allows you, how when you typically do validation, you'll typically do it on a form, like if you're doing a website, for example, you'll do like a form, like give me your first name, your email, blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
Name has to be between 5 and 8 characters. Email has to have an @ symbol. You have to check this, that. All that validation logic can now go into a Fluent-like API that you can apply to your types and then have it auto-enforced. So it's super nice. And Zod is the basis of what's done around validation with tRPC, but it's super nice framework for using with your types in TypeScript.
So this reminds me quite a bit of Fluent validation in .NET.
Yep.
Just basically set up your rules, and then they're pretty flexible as far as how you can infer those rules. So you can do it on forms, you can do it on database, you can do it on, what do you call it? Like sending things up to the API, so you get model binding, all of that. So you can hit those validators anywhere, and you only have to write them once, which is super handy. Because you kind of get this library of validations that you can just throw anywhere, anytime you need it.
Yes.
Speaking of C# and libraries for it, this is an interesting one, John. Bflat. I was looking at this after you posted it. Bflat is a Go inspired tooling for C#. Love the name.
Okay,
though.
So let me explain what this is, because like a lot of people are like, "What? I don't get this." All right. If you haven't done Go development, I will understand the confusion. Now, I've been doing Go for the past 2 years, and I love it. And one of the most powerful aspects of Go is its compiler tool set. So when you build a binary with Go, it is super platform. It's super platform friendly, meaning you can run once and it will generate a whole bunch of different binaries for you, for Windows, for x86, for ARM, for Mac, for Linux, et cetera, et cetera. That experience, as much as talk as we've had around like native binaries via .NET, there's still a lot of dependencies that have to come along for the ride. If you're running .NET binaries on, say, Linux, for example, there's a lot of sub-libraries you need to install. Same thing with Mac. It's not an optimal experience. Plus, the binaries themselves can be pretty beefy. So what Bflat is, it's kind of an homage to C#, but it's basically trying to provide that same type of experience around the Go build tools to .NET. And this is, I think, pretty awesome, I think. The ability to build native code or .NET bytecode through a tool that is, the analogy that the author gives is Bflat is to .NET, the compile, the CLI, the CLI.NET CLI. Bflat is to .NET, that VS Code is to VS. So it's a stripped down but powerful version of a compiler built on Roslyn that allows you to target and get the same type of compile time experience you get with Go, with super small native binaries, super like works just out of the box. Now, the only caveat here is that it doesn't support Mac. So Mac support is a little bit wanting. It supports variants of it supports variants of Linux. It supports obviously Windows, x86, ARM, etc. But this is, I think, the direction. I think this is finally gonna kick Microsoft. Well, actually, the guy who runs this is actually, I think he's a member of the team at Microsoft. But I think this is going to drag Microsoft kicking and screaming towards making a really good tool for building these things. The reason why this is important is for Microsoft is because people are looking. And I'm not alone in this view, by the way. But when you look at using .NET to build a CLI, and CLIs are becoming back in vogue. We've talked about Charm. Like on this podcast, we talked about a lot about how there's a bit of a renaissance now with the CLI. Look at how popular the Azure developer tools are. Look how popular all these CLI tools, because you can script it, you can do powerful things. But the problem is that a lot of this tooling, they didn't choose .NET, and there's good reason for that. It's because when it comes to building binaries that run beyond Windows, .NET is not a great choice. Like, it doesn't give you what you want in terms of a binary distribution. The runtime, first of all, the files are enormous, like way bigger than they should be. They're like a 10x way bigger than they should be. There's still dependencies that you need to take along for the ride, which sucks. You want to be able to curl download this in Go, like not Go the language, but just run. Yeah. And so people are looking at alternatives, and Go has fit this sweet spot so well that a lot of people, including Microsoft, are building, including ourselves at Octopus. We built a new version of the CLI built on Go, by the way. We had one built on .NET, but it was too difficult because we had a lot of customers who were running on variants of Linux and on Mac and etc. We wanted to provide them a platform agnostic tool with zero dependencies that they could just run, and we wanted it to be super fast. So we chose Go. This is what people are doing. So a tool like Bflat and this direction of where the .NET tooling is going is really going to get them back into the game around building binaries that are based on .NET, that are multi-plat. This reality around multi-plat tooling for Microsoft still is a little rough, and it needs to get better. And Bflat, I think, is a good step in that direction.
So I just want to give a shout out to chat real quick.
And rant.
I don't know if we got a raid. I do not have my Twitch console available to see if we got raided, and nobody's made a comment in chat, but we just bumped up quite a bit in viewership. Don't know why that is. Okay. So if you came in through raid, thank you. And if not, just thanks for showing up. Hopefully you could tell me how you found us, because it was just I
tweeted that I was going to be talking to you. So, I would like to think that, hi folks, but, yeah.
For about the first 20, 30 minutes of the show, we were running average probably about 3 folks. And then all of a sudden it went to 30, which is great. So that usually means we got rated. So if we got rated, whoever rated us, thank you very much. Feel free to pop that into chat. I'm not seeing any chat today for some reason. I think Twitch has had some kind of security freak out today, and it was down for a period of time. So that could explain some things too. Like maybe it's just coming back online for some people and they're joining the show now. But yeah, thank you. Thank you for joining the show. One thing that I'm fixated on here, John, is this run C# with no operating system demo. So they're compiling .NET code to run just straight off of the UEFI, like just the boot of the firmware off of the system, or sorry, EFI, yeah. UEFI, same thing. Like this is running with no operating system at all. So you could create like a bootable thumb drive or something with your .NET app as like the sole app that runs when it boots. That's got me thinking like outside the box now. Like, cool. This is really cool.
Yes.
Like they're running Snake, the game. Like, I mean, that is like probably the least important thing I think you could possibly do with what they're proposing here. but that could be a really powerful tool for something.
Sure.
You could have some kind of like debugging utility, or just something that you want to run without any OS. That's, you know, a very proprietary thing. Maybe you want to troubleshoot something on the computer itself. Like I used to have tools for like doing PC troubleshoots that don't require an operating system, because you don't want the, you know, the OS getting in the way of like troubleshooting your hardware. Like there's all kinds of really cool uses for that type of thing. And I never thought about writing them in C#. Usually those things are written in C++. Like you don't generally see a language that has an intermediate runtime being used for these type of things. So that is super cool. I never expected to see that. I'll definitely have to give that a look.
Yeah. So flatten.net is the website. The person who maintains this name is Michael, I think, or Michel, or I'm sorry, he's from Slovakia. I don't know what the pronunciation, the right pronunciation is going to be. But this is something I wanted when we started building out our CLI. And it was not there. .NET wasn't a really good prospect for us when we were looking at our CLI story. And that's why we went with Go. The fact that this is coming is, I think, awesome. And I would love to see Microsoft move in this direction where you can still use .NET and you can still build awesome things that are platform agnostic, meaning like, but are also super lightweight. And because I love C#, that's like one of my favorite languages. But we went to Go because of the build tool chain more than anything.
Yeah, this is.
I like Go too. Don't get me wrong. I like Go as a programming language as well. It's great.
So unlike you, John, that actually worked over the holidays and has lots of important things to share as far as like technology goes, I was off like dabbling with weird stuff. I found this very interesting. This is a VR game that lets you relive the glory days of your consoles.
That's hot. Look at that big CRT there.
Yeah.
That thing, there's no way that table would support a television that size. That thing would collapse under its weight.
I used to have the same TV, by the way, like this exact Panasonic model TV.
Right.
And I love how you got to have the RCA like style connections to actually like hook it up. But this is impressive. Like this lets you relive those days of like the 90s of playing video games the way they were played in the 90s. Like
I know.
This is how it literally was.
They got all the Jurassic, they got all the posters on the wall. They've got the circa 1980s furniture. That's the thing about people. Like I watch, just a side tangent. When I watch things like Stranger Things is super colorful. Like even the posters are colorful. I'm like, I grew up in the 80s. Nothing was that colorful. Everything was brown.
It was all brown.
We had brown paneling. All the furniture was brown. It was all wood based, and like everything was enormous. Like the consoles, the TV, everything.
Well, you know why? Because it was the stuff that your parents had that their parents gave them. Like nobody ever got rid of anything. Like it was still the same stuff that was there from the 50s and 60s.
I love they're playing Duck Hunt and they're doing it through a VR experience. Oh my god, like this is crazy.
This is actually really awesome because when you think about emulation, you can emulate these games that have blasters, like IR blasters. They do not work with modern televisions. So the way that IR blasters used to work is they would actually do a frame capture on the CRT, and it would give you an XY coordinate of where the CRT beam was located on the screen. So as the CRT's drawing, you know, stream by stream, it wasn't a pixel, but it was a dot, and it would stream across the screen. Like it would, when you press the trigger, it would grab that coordinate, like, you know, which row is it on during that scan. And if it, you know, coincided with where it was drawing the character that you shot at, it would be a hit. You cannot do that with an LCD monitor. They do not draw lines like that. They draw the entire picture at once. So they completely don't work. Like it's a dead technology. You can't just use it. So the only way to emulate it is through something like this. So they've actually revived that somehow through this VR experience.
Why do we need to do this?
All those, because you have to be able to relive these things. It's amazing. And like this thing, the author did not expect the tweets and views to go up. Like if you read through this, he's like, I'm totally shocked. Like the reaction here, and it's people like, I need to relive these, these games the way I played them. And they're like thanking this person for recreating this stuff. And, imagine like showing, trying to explain this to your kids, like this archaic, like, well, you had to have the console and like, just use your imagination, kids. And they're just like, they're lost on you already. And then, you just slap the VR headset on them and go, this is actually exactly what it was like walk around this room, see how clunky everything is, like pick up the light gun and shoot at the ducks. Like, this is what we had. I think it's amazing. Like, it lets you put things in the right context to explain it to people that couldn't experience it. And like, there's people that are just like, if I play this game, I'm going to be in tears. Like, this was my jam back in the day. So I get it. I think it's cool. So that one's out there. These are gadgets that I either received as gifts or bought for myself over the holidays that I thought were just really cool. I'm not sponsored in any way by these things. So like, I'm not getting paid for this. This is not a sponsorship deal. Like, these are just things I thought were cool and I would share with everyone. Most folks know I am an absolute huge coffee nerd and snob, which is why I received this as a gift from someone.
Bought you this?
So my second oldest daughter bought me this.
For $180.
She dipped into her savings to get me this mug.
What is this mug? Cure cancer?
This is a smart mug that, no kidding, will set a temperature on your coffee and not let go of it until you're done drinking. So you pour your coffee. I do espresso shots directly into the mug. The mug stays at 137 degrees until every last drip of that coffee is drank. It is amazing. It is absolutely amazing. So, yeah,
it's not amazing.
You could do that.
Amazing. It's not. I'm sorry, but it's
could do that, Jeff.
Amazing.
No, it is awe-inspiring.
It's not amazing.
It is awesome. It is with awe.
Stupid. It's so stupid.
It literally gives you an app.
I know your daughter loves you. This is like, it's $180 for a mug.
It is amazing. It is a game changer. I now drink coffee to the very, very bottom of the mug. It is dry when I am done.
You know what? Let's go with it. God bless you. Go and spend $5,000 on a mug. God bless you. I hope it brings you all the happiness in the world.
When you have a coffee machine that is over $1,000, and you're buying coffee that was roasted 2 days prior to you drinking it, this is the last step of pretentiousness that you need for your coffee. I'm sorry. It is awesome. I'm not going to apologize, even though I just said sorry. Yeah. So it has like probably like a coil style heating element in the bottom. I didn't break it down or anything, obviously.
It cost them $2 to make, and they're charging guys like you $180.
So here's the thing. If it was kind of like this flimsy little mug and they were charging this like a crazy price for it, I'd be like, yeah, it costs too. Yeah. So it is a crazy price. But what's astonishing, I've got all kinds of mugs, right? I've got a double wall glass mug. I don't know if you've ever seen a double wall glass mug before. So they blow a very thin glass mug. Here, let's grab an image of one here. Double wall glass mug. So a double wall glass mug.
Okay.
So they blow a glass mug with a hollow set of walls to it, vacuum seal it. So there's no way for the heat to escape through the walls of the mug, right?
Okay.
Those are probably the best that I've had so far. And those are shot glasses.
What is it? Why would you have, like, so what? What does this do?
It retains heat long. Like, you don't want your coffee to get cold. It loses the flavors.
You're taking to drink a cup of coffee.
I mean, even if it goes down a few degrees, it changes the taste of the coffee. So this holds the heat the longest, right? So let's see.
Our society is doomed. Sorry.
So double wall glass mug sets you back about $50
Oh my god.
for a decent one, right? So I've got double wall glass mugs. Problem with double wall glass mugs, they're glass, they break. I've dropped them, and they don't usually immediately shatter, but it's enough. Yes, this is why I bring these things on the show. This is the best part of the show, folks.
What, triggering me?
Yes, triggering John. So I've broke these before. Like they don't like blast across the house or anything crazy, but they'll get like superficial cracks in them, and then like the next time you pour coffee in it, they're like doomed to fail, right? So they don't last forever. They're very nice. They keep things fairly warm. We use these, wife and I both, by the way, use these double wall mugs with a lid. So we have like a bamboo lid that fits over the top of these.
Wrapped in mule skin, all that stuff. Yeah.
So you take a drink, you put your lid back on, that type of thing. Sure. So they're fairly expensive, right? So this thing is next level.
$50 for a glass, $180 for a mug. What are you doing?
So this thing is constructed extremely well. The thing that's really kind of astonishing here is that it obviously the price tag, John. I was waiting for that one. The walls of this mug are fairly thin. I'm trying to find a picture of it. I should have brought it.
Perfect.
I should have brought it downstairs to my office. Here we go.
Can you remotely control it through HomeKit?
Okay.
Sorry, I'm crap all over this. I don't care.
I do believe it connects to the smart home stuff.
Perfect. Just
so
what you want.
I mean, these are like couple millimeters wide, right?
Okay.
These, I don't know what they made this stuff out of. You do not get heat loss through it. There's no heat loss through the walls of this mug. You cannot feel the temperature of what is inside through the walls of this mug.
This is circa 1920s technology, Ed. It's called an insulator.
I've got all kinds of these things though. You can feel some heat loss through a double wall glass mug. Some. This I feel nothing. Like it is cool to the touch on the outside. Like you don't know what temperature your coffee is until
how hot is your coffee? Like, are you going around like
137 degrees? 137 degrees.
You're burning your esophagus with this thing, okay, whatever. We got to move on. Right. Like, this is just ridiculous. Like, this is okay, whatever. I'm not going to say it anymore. Okay.
So I got to say one more thing, just for the sake of
track your caffeine intake.
Just for the sake of triggering John one more time, I have to say this. I did have to do not one, but 2 firmware updates before I could drink coffee the day I received it. And this did require 2 separate phones because one would not install the update to the firmware without crashing. So there be dragons, but it is still worth the price of admission, I guarantee you.
I can't.
It does connect through Bluetooth, and that can be a little spotty sometimes.
Sure.
But yeah. Okay. Second thing, by the way, this one I bought myself.
You could buy 2 of these for that mug, by the way. Just saying.
Yeah.
At least 2 of these. And you have money
so,
left.
My keyboard, the space bar broke.
Okay.
Through incessant gaming, or Visual Studio one of the
Yep.
two. I won't get into why that is, but yeah. So my spacebar broke. I had to get a new keyboard. These were on sale. This thing is totally cool. So it is like, there's all different kinds of brands, by the way, that do the same thing. So find your favorite one.
Totally saturated market. There's so many keyboards out there.
This just happened to be like a really cool one, and I liked the color scheme. But what's like really interesting is like, and I never thought I'd need any of these things. It is not only USB, so you can plug it directly in to the system, but it has a lithium-ion battery, and it can be used Bluetooth. So you can unplug it. So I've actually been using it with my laptop as well. So it's like, I just like unplug it from my desktop, walk over when I'm using my laptop, and I have like a full mechanical keyboard. Because I'm using my laptop like,
I have the soft key Mac version of this.
Like I place it on a different table, like I'm kind of away from it, you know, using it. So that I never thought I'd need and actually use a lot. So, and it also has a USB like remote dongle if Bluetooth isn't working for that device. So that's helpful too.
I like mechanical keyboards myself. I think they're awesome.
Same here. So you can rip the switches out.
Yep.
And replace them on the fly. You can put different keycaps on, the whole 9 yards. It does all kinds of crazy stuff that would make you cringe, because it makes me cringe, John.
No, I type all the time, so this is a warranted expense in my view. So this is fine. I don't drink as much coffee as you, clearly, but
here we go. Hang on. Let's pull this up then, John.
The app.
Yeah.
Oh God, look at this. Someone needed, like, you need a graphics card to use the utility app.
There we go. So this is totally necessary, John. I don't know if it'll show up on camera, but there's your voice.
Oh, wow.
Go ahead and talk, John.
Yeah. Hi. This is better than DAS keyboard, maybe. It certainly is. You know, the fact that you have to install graphics drivers to run the utility is always a big sarcastic thumb in my book.
So it can do like, there's 10 different effects just for the voice.
Hot.
Or I mean the music, because you know you gotta sync your music with your
RGB, everything.
Your gaming.
Everything's gotta be RGB.
Yeah, it's got the 30 different light modes, whatever.
Yeah, of course.
You can record macros on it.
My son's got RGB all over his PC, and I go into his room. I'm like, oh my God! Like, it's like you have to like put sunglasses in sometimes to go into some gamer's room. Yeah, I know exactly. Yeah. I'm like going to the. It's like going to the W Hotel. It's your own room, you know.
So if you're gonna buy something for your office, keyboard is like a great
keyboard, 100%,
a great expense.
1000%. You use your keyboard way more than you drink coffee, at least for those of us who are.
I'll admit, I probably would not have bought the mug for myself. That's why it made an excellent gift. That's what gifts are about.
Cool.
Finding a gift that you do not buy for yourself is like a hard task. But this one I also bought for myself. This is really cool. This is the SwitchBot Hub Mini. And what's really neat about SwitchBot is they're not into like doing all the smart home stuff to be like ultra modern. They're about retrofit. So they're about retrofitting things that you already have. Some of their stuff is crazy expensive, by the way. Like they have a thing that will pull your curtains for you. That's like $150 to like pull your curtains. I'm like, that's not like probably a great.
About how to. You just spent 20 minutes talking about $180 to heat your coffee. So why not pull your curtains?
Not heat my coffee, keep it hot.
Sorry.
Big
so
this isn't really that expensive. This is a $50, $40 purchase. What this does though, that's really cool, is anything that has an IR remote, it can learn, and then it's an IR blaster. And it's a very impressive one because it doesn't have to be like aimed at the device. It like blasts it through the whole room. So I don't know if it has an array of these things or if it's just a really powerful one. It's hitting and ricocheting off walls. But I have a space heater in my office that is too far to get up and walk to. And I'm serious.
We're
I mean,
doomed. We're so doomed.
it's I'm trying, like right now I'm on here streaming with you, and I want to turn it on. I'm not going to say, "Hey, I'll be right back, folks. I got to go turn my space heater on because I'm freezing." So here's the thing, and you'll like this, John. You'll like this part because they also sell for $15 one of these little doohickeys.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So now when it hits a certain temperature, it kicks on automatically.
Yeah.
And I don't have to fuss with it. And before, there's a remote control that I always have to find when I want to use it. And then you have to like aim it directly at it. So it's like those light gun games. I feel like I'm playing Duck Hunt, like trying to hit this thing, and half the time it doesn't work. I hooked this little SwitchBot mini thing up, and like within a couple seconds, like I was automating this thing that had no smart capabilities before. So I thought this was like so cool.
Workflow around this, you can do if this then that sort of rules, around this stuff. Yeah, I totally get the purpose of this. Yeah.
The other one I think is kind of neat in their little bundle of gadgets is not that one, not the remote.
Yeah, one-click remotes. They've got like various.
I mean, they got like the NFC tag that you can program, all that. But there's one that's just it's a SwitchBot switch.
Is it HomeKit compatible? This stuff?
I don't know. I think they are trying to do their own thing,
like things like that.
Okay. You can if you have the hub.
Yeah.
Which I recommend anyway because it does all the IR stuff. The hub hooks to your smart device. I don't want to say its name. The Amazon one is what I have. So I can control things by telling the Amazon assistant to do things. Then I have the Switch coming. I don't have the Switch yet, but I ordered one. It's basically a little solenoid that like physically like reaches out and pushes a button for you.
Yep. Yep.
And I initially got it for the fireplace, but then I recognized that it had the IR deal on it, and I was like, okay, I'll just use the IR instead. So now I've got a spare switch, and I think I'm going to put it on my pool pump because I have no way to time my pool pump right now, and all summer it just runs constantly, and it doesn't really need to. It's just inconvenient because it's not on a... You can get them, but they're usually massive, right?
Yeah,
and they require an electrician to install.
Yes.
They're like clunky to program too because they're literally like a big dial, and you like put these little they're annoying. Yeah. So I've never put one out there because it would require like a new panel outside.
Same thing goes with a garage door opener or like the curtain rod example. All this is true. Yes.
Mm-hmm. So I think I'm going to use the push button to automate the pool pump outside.
That is a good use case, I think.
Yeah. So all of these things are saving energy. Like these are, if I'm not in the room, I can have it shut off my heat. If we're not at the house, I can remotely turn off heat and pool pumps and things like that. So I thought this was really cool, and I grabbed that over the holidays as well. Nice. And I know this is a stale comment, but these are all better purchases than a coffee mug. I realize that.
I'm going to ridicule you for weeks.
Hey, I didn't buy it. I didn't buy it. So you'll have to deal with my daughter when she sees you. Speaking of buying things, the company that I work for, Progress, has made plans to acquire MarkLogic, which is like a metadata smart data platform. So I'm learning about that. So it's all about data storage in new ways that include things like AI and metadata to analyze data in database. So that is an acquisition that is going through. We just made the announcement on the 3rd. Congrats. And thank you. Speaking of announcements, we have a Telerik UI and Kendo UI release webinar coming up. So next week we have a release party and then the webinars. So stay tuned to Twitch for the release party. Sign up for the webinars if you want some in-depth like demos on different things that are coming in each release. There's several products here, so it depends on what you're interested in, on what you might want to sign up for.
Component library vendors like yourselves, like I can only imagine now, because you've gotten bigger and bigger, just how much stuff you have to talk about. Like we can't squeeze how are we going to get everything into this webinar? This is impossible. Like, there's so many
And
tools you guys have to talk about. It's crazy.
there is more stuff coming too. So if you hit this, like, this is what John's talking about here. Like, these are all the things that are in those webinars, and that portfolio, obviously, as we purchase and acquire companies, is getting bigger. So there's some new stuff coming as well that is of our own. So I don't know when we're going to announce those things, but keep your eye out for new stuff.
Awesome.
And webinars are coming. Webinars are coming.
Fun times.
All
Maybe
right,
we should give
man.
away a mug.
That could be a good gift for a giveaway. See, you're thinking now, John. You're thinking.
Slap a Telerik logo on it. It lights up RGB.
Yeah, we do giveaways for conferences and things, and we look for unique items to put at the booth.
Give away the mug. I want to see the mug.
The mug may make an appearance at a booth. That may happen. All right, thanks everybody.
Sorry, I haven't ranted that long in a long time. So.
I knew you'd love the mug, John.
God.
I knew you'd love one. You're just
VR,
jealous. You want somebody to get you one.
Flying machine that we saw about
that was
a year
the
and a half
best.
ago. Oh my God.
That was the best. I love that clip. That is too much fun. Speaking of clips, if you want to see those clips, they are on CRYPTOG with a K. That's Jeff Fritz's project. I think those clips are still up there. So if you want to see clips from Twitch that people have taken, that is the place to do it. CRYPTOG.com, is it? I can't remember if it's .com.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So CRYPTOG.com. I'm not screen sharing anymore as I type this in.
That's all good.
But yeah, there it is. So quick shout out to CRYPTOG. It was probably Jeff's raid that boosted the viewership there, by the way.
There you go.
So make sure you jump on CRYPTOG, and you could probably find that clip we were just talking about. Lots of good ones up there. Oh, including the Coded Elf. I don't know, John, if you saw. Did you witness the Coded Elf? He's gone home for the holidays.
Okay.
But the Coded Elf, he stopped by the show. And here we go.
What is this?
Let's see. No. Hang on here. Let me try to reshare this because I think we need audio. I don't know if I have my audio on for this one.
That's okay. I think people understand.
Share screen. No. Has to have audio. Has to have audio. Gotta have audio. Ready? Here's the Coded Elf. He made several appearances over the holidays. He's a pretty cool little dude. So here we are.
You are the heart and the brain behind this event. Oh, yeah.
How long is this thing going to go on today?
I changed my mind. I'm taking it down. Is that Ed? I added it.
Hey, who's taking me off screen? This is not me.
Is it Ed?
It's got to be Ed.
Who's this Ed guy? He sounds like a pretty cool dude.
Yeah, definitely.
I heard he loved.
Yeah. So
I love it.
He'll make appearances again. I've warned people that he may just show up even if it's not the holidays. So that there's that. I think he showed up here as well.
I think it was just a little bit violent for where you live. I feel like
no.
You're.
Oh, he had already left on
nesting
that
components.
One. He has shown up during other streams though, and had a lot of fun with Layla in them. So he will revisit from time to time, especially during the holidays. But any time he could just drop into somebody's stream here on Code It Live. Any time unannounced, he'll be there. Yes, I will be at CodeMash. Coded Elf, I don't think will be there. I think he's going home for the winter. Maybe he'll come back in another couple of months. But yeah, I will be at CodeMash, so definitely see you there. Which is a good reminder, by the way. So thank you for that. We will not have a show, John, you and I, but we will have some live streams from CodeMash I'm probably going to have Matt Groves on the show to talk about the C# Advent and all of the wonderful articles that showed up over the holidays.
Nice.
But John, you and I will take a break until I come back from Code Mash. So we will have another Eat Sleep Code on the. We might postpone that one as well. We have a release party on the 19th, or maybe you can just stop in and be part of that. So we will see you again in a week, and I'll see you from Code Mash next week. But thanks as usual, John. Lots of great articles and stuff that you shared with us, and definitely love sharing the gadgets with you.
Okay.
That was good. Take care, everybody. We'll see you soon.